I found the wedding invitation on our kitchen counter on a Tuesday afternoon, addressed in Sharon's looping handwriting. Not unusual. We'd been sending out invitations for weeks. Except this one was going to Nathan Pierce, her ex-boyfriend from college. "You invited Nate?" I asked, keeping my voice level as I set down my briefcase. Sharon looked up from her laptop, her blonde hair catching the afternoon light streaming through our kitchen windows. She was still in her work clothes, a navy blue dress that hugged her figure perfectly. "Of course. He's an old friend, Dylan. If you really love me, you'll understand." That phrase. If you really love me. She'd been using it a lot lately, like a skeleton key that opened any door she wanted, no matter how locked I thought my boundaries were. "Sure," I said, forcing a smile. "I understand completely." I didn't, but I was starting to. And that understanding was spreading through my chest like ice water. We'd been together for 3 years, engaged for 6 months. Sharon worked in marketing at a tech startup downtown, something to do with social media analytics and brand management. I managed cybersecurity for a mid-sized financial firm, which meant I knew my way around computers, data, digital footprints, and all the ways people thought they were hiding things when they really weren't. Our life looked perfect from the outside. A craftsman-style house in the suburbs with a mortgage we could actually afford. 2 cars, a golden retriever named Biscuit, who thought everyone was his best friend, and a wedding planned for September with 200 guests at a mission-style venue in Old Town. But something had shifted in the last 4 months, subtle at first, then increasingly obvious once I started paying attention. Sharon stayed late at the office more often, sometimes until 9 or 10 at night. She smiled at her phone when she thought I wasn't looking, that particular smile women get when they're texting someone who makes them feel special. She'd started wearing perfume to work meetings, the expensive kind she usually saved for date nights. She'd bought new lingerie but never wore it around me. Little things that individually meant nothing, but together formed a pattern I recognized from the cybersecurity training I did. Anomalous behavior that indicated a breach. The invitation to Nathan bothered me more than it should have. Not because she'd invited an ex, I'd invited a couple of mine to the wedding, Melissa and Sarah, both of whom I was still friendly with in that casual, no-hard-feelings way. But Sharon's invitation felt different. It was the way she'd said it, that casual dismissal of my feelings wrapped in emotional manipulation. "If you really love me," as if my love was measured by my willingness to swallow my discomfort and smile. That night, after Sharon fell asleep around 11, I went downstairs to my home office. Biscuit followed me, his nails clicking on the hardwood floors, and settled at my feet as I opened my laptop. The blue light illuminated my face in the darkness. I felt guilty doing this, like I was crossing a line we couldn't come back from. But that guilt was overridden by the knot in my stomach that had been tightening for months, pulled taut by 1,000 small suspicions. I started with Sharon's social media. Her Instagram was public, mostly photos of us looking happy at beaches and restaurants, her friends at brunch, motivational quotes about female empowerment and living your best life. Nothing suspicious on the surface, but her tagged photos told a different story. 3 weeks ago, someone named Rebecca had tagged Sharon at a restaurant downtown, Milano's, the expensive Italian place with white tablecloths and a sommelier, at 9 p.m. on a Tuesday. Sharon had told me she was working late that night, said she'd grabbed a sandwich at her desk. I dug deeper, my fingers moving across the keyboard with practiced efficiency. Sharon's Facebook was more locked down, but her friends list was public. I found Nathan Pierce easily enough. He lived in Seattle now, worked in pharmaceutical sales for some company I'd never heard of, married to a woman named Jennifer Chen. They had a daughter, maybe 4 years old based on the photos, a cute kid with pigtails, always smiling. Seattle. That detail nagged at me like a splinter under my skin. I pulled up our credit card statements, both personal and joint accounts. Sharon had her own card for personal expenses, but we had a joint account for shared costs, mortgage, utilities, groceries. 2 months ago, there was a charge from Alaska Airlines for $647. I'd been in Boston that week for a cybersecurity conference. I checked the dates carefully. Sharon had bought a round-trip ticket to Seattle, leaving Friday morning at 6 a.m., returning Sunday night at 8 p.m. She'd told me she was going to a yoga retreat in Napa with her friend Melissa, had even shown me photos on Instagram of mountains and meditation rooms. My hands were shaking now. I pulled up more statements, going back 6 months. Another flight to Seattle 6 weeks before that, another charge for $592, and another one scheduled for next week, $803, because she'd booked it last minute. I sat back in my chair, staring at the screen until my eyes burned. Biscuit whined softly, sensing my distress, and pushed his nose against my leg. The smart thing would have been to confront her right then. Wake her up, show her the evidence, demand the truth like they do in movies. But something stopped me. Maybe it was pride, the humiliation of being the clueless fiancé everyone probably pitied. Maybe it was the way she'd said, "If you really love me," that afternoon, so confident that I'd swallow whatever she fed me like a trained dog. Instead, I started building a file. Screenshots of everything. Flight records, restaurant charges, Facebook tags, Instagram posts with geolocation data she'd forgotten to disable. I created a folder on my encrypted external drive, labeled it Evidence, and started filling it methodically. I even found text messages she'd backed up to our shared iCloud account, including ones to a contact saved simply as NP. The messages made my stomach turn. "Can't wait to see you Friday. Tell Jay you have a sales conference in Portland. Miss you already. 3 more weeks until the wedding and then we can figure this out. I'm thinking we wait 6 months, maybe a year. Then I tell him I'm not happy. Dylan suspects nothing. He's too busy with work to notice anything. Sometimes I think he loves his computers more than me, LOL." That last one felt like a knife sliding between my ribs, cold and precise. I read through months of messages, watching the affair unfold in real time like a novel I couldn't put down. It had started last December at a college reunion in Los Angeles. Just coffee at first, they'd told themselves. Just 2 old friends catching up. Then lunch. Then Nathan flew down to San Diego for what he told his wife was a client meeting, and they spent the weekend together at a hotel in La Jolla. Sharon had told me she was visiting her sister in Phoenix. The wedding, I realized with growing clarity, wasn't about us at all. Sharon wanted my father's money. Dad had promised us a condo in La Jolla as a wedding gift, a 2-bedroom place in a new development near the beach, worth about $900,000. In one message, Sharon had actually written, "Once we're married, the condo is half mine. Community property law in California. We can figure out the rest after. Worst case, I walk away with $450K in equity." I closed my laptop and sat in the dark for a long time, listening to Biscuit's steady breathing and the distant sound of cars on the highway. I should have felt angry. I should have felt hurt, betrayed, devastated. Instead, I felt cold, calculating, clinical. I thought about my father, who'd built his real estate business from nothing after immigrating from Lebanon, who'd taught me that emotion was weakness in negotiation. "Never let them see you bleed, Dylan," he'd say, usually over chess games he always won. "And never make a move until you've thought 3 steps ahead." So I started planning, mapping out the moves like it was a chess game. And in chess, the most devastating victories come when your opponent doesn't see the checkmate until it's too late. The next morning, I woke up before Sharon and made her breakfast. Scrambled eggs with chives, whole wheat toast, coffee exactly how she liked it. 2 creams, 1 sugar, stirred counterclockwise 3 times because she was particular about these things. "You're in a good mood," she said when she came downstairs, surprised to find the kitchen table set with fresh flowers I'd cut from our garden. "Just thinking about the wedding," I said, sliding the plate in front of her. "Actually, I had an idea last night. What if we invited Nathan's wife too, and their daughter? It'd be nice for them to make a trip out of it, see San Diego, We could show them the zoo, Balboa Park, all the tourist stuff. Sharon's coffee mug paused halfway to her lips. Her hand trembled slightly. His wife? Jennifer, right? I looked him up on Facebook last night. They seem like a nice family. That little girl is adorable. Emma, I think. If Nate's important enough to invite to our wedding, we should include his whole family. Make them feel welcome. It's the right thing to do. I watched her face carefully, cataloging every micro-expression. She recovered quickly, but not before I saw the flash of panic in her eyes, the way her pupils dilated slightly. That's thoughtful, she said slowly, setting down her mug. But I think Nate mentioned Jennifer can't travel right now. Work stuff. She's an accountant, really busy during tax season. It's June, Sharon. Tax season ended 2 months ago. Right, but there's always follow-up work, audits, that sort of thing. Well, I'll send them an invitation anyway. You never know, maybe she'll surprise us. It'd be a shame for Nathan to come all this way alone when he could make it a family vacation. Sharon didn't eat much breakfast after that. She pushed the eggs around her plate, checking her phone every few minutes, probably texting Nathan in a panic. I sent the invitation that afternoon from our wedding website, which Sharon had spent weeks perfecting. It was beautiful. Custom design with watercolor flowers, our engagement photos from the beach at sunset, all the details about the ceremony and reception laid out in elegant fonts. I included a personal note. Dear Nathan, Jennifer, and Emma, Sharon speaks so highly of you and your friendship over the years. We'd be honored if your whole family could join us in celebrating our special day. We've arranged discounted accommodations for out-of-town families at the Hilton near the venue, and we'd love to have you all there. San Diego in September is beautiful. Looking forward to meeting you, Jennifer, and to seeing little Emma. Best regards, Dylan and Sharon. I copied Sharon on the email. Transparency was key. I wanted her to see exactly what I was doing, to feel the walls closing in, but not to be able to stop it without exposing herself. 2 days later, Nathan replied. His email was friendly, almost enthusiastic. Dylan, that's incredibly generous of you both. Jennifer and Emma would love to come. Jennifer's been wanting to visit San Diego for years, and Emma's obsessed with marine animals, so the aquarium will be a hit. We're looking forward to it. Thanks again for including the whole family. It means a lot. See you in September. Nathan. Sharon read the email over my shoulder while I was making dinner that evening, grilled chicken and vegetables. I felt her tense behind me, her breath catching. That's great, she said flatly, her voice hollow. Isn't it? I smiled at her, reaching over to squeeze her hand. The more the merrier. And it'll be nice for Emma. There'll be other kids there. My sister's bringing her 2 boys. Over the next few weeks, I played the perfect fiancé with Oscar-worthy precision. I took Sharon on dates to her favorite restaurants. I listened to her stress about wedding details, the florist, the caterer, whether the napkins should be ivory or cream. I made love to her with the same passion as always, even though every touch felt like a performance now, like I was an actor playing the role of devoted fiancé. She had no idea I knew. She had no idea I was watching her scramble behind the scenes, trying to manage the disaster I'd created. Her text messages to Nathan became increasingly frantic. I checked them every night while she slept. Why did you say yes? This is a complete disaster. Jennifer can't come. You need to uninvite her. Tell her something came up. Work emergency. Anything. She cannot be at this wedding. We need to cancel everything. This is too risky. Dylan will figure it out. I'm freaking out. Call me when Jay is asleep. But Nathan, from what I could see in the messages Sharon carelessly continued backing up to our shared cloud, thought I was just being nice. He didn't see the trap. He assured Sharon it would be fine. They'd be careful. They'd barely interact at the wedding. Jennifer wouldn't suspect anything because she had no reason to suspect anything. They'd acted perfectly normal around her for months. You're overthinking this. he wrote. Dylan seems like a good guy. He's just trying to be inclusive. We'll be fine. Sharon didn't think they'd be fine, but she couldn't articulate why without admitting what they were doing was wrong. She was trapped, and she knew it, and I enjoyed watching her squirm. My father called 2 weeks before the wedding to discuss logistics. Dylan, I've got the condo papers ready. Just need both your signatures after the ceremony. The lawyer will be at the reception. It's a hell of a wedding gift, so don't screw this up. Your mother thinks I'm being too generous, but you're my only son. Thanks, Dad. We really appreciate it. Sharon's excited about the place. She should be. That neighborhood's going to double in value in 5 years. It's a good investment for you kids. I almost laughed at that. Investment. The wedding rehearsal was scheduled for Friday evening, 2 days before the ceremony. The venue was a restored mission-style building in Old Town, built in the 1700s with thick adobe walls, a courtyard with a fountain, and gardens full of bougainvillea. Sharon had chosen it because it photographed well, because every corner was Instagram-worthy. The ceremony would take place in the courtyard at sunset, with the reception in the adjacent hall. I arrived early with my parents. My mother, a tiny Lebanese woman with strong opinions about everything, immediately started fussing over the flower arrangements, complaining that the roses weren't fresh enough. Dad checked his phone, probably working a real estate deal, his usual uniform of pressed slacks and polo shirt making him look more like a golf pro than a millionaire. My younger sister Rachel was there with her husband Tom, helping set up chairs in neat rows. "You nervous?" Rachel asked me, hugging me tight. She was 25, 3 years younger than me, with the same dark hair and eyes we'd inherited from Dad. "Not really," I said truthfully. "Liar. You're getting married in 2 days. You should be terrified." If only she knew what I was really feeling. Not nervousness. Anticipation. Sharon arrived with her parents around 6. Her mother was already crying happy tears, dabbing at her eyes with a tissue. Her father, a retired accountant with the personality of drywall, shook my hand limply and commented on the venue's parking situation. Nathan and Jennifer showed up 15 minutes later, little Emma in a pink dress with sparkles, excited to be at a grown-up party. Emma immediately ran to the fountain, fascinated by the koi fish swimming in circles. I watched Sharon's face when she saw them walk in. She'd clearly hoped Nathan would cancel at the last minute, or that Jennifer would get sick, or that some miracle would prevent this exact scenario. She plastered on a smile that didn't reach her eyes and hugged Jennifer like they were old friends meeting for the first time. "Jennifer, it's so wonderful to finally meet you," Sharon said, her voice too bright, too enthusiastic. "Nate talks about you all the time, and Emma, oh my God, she's adorable." Jennifer beamed. She was pretty in an understated way, with kind brown eyes and a warm smile that seemed genuine. She wore a simple green dress and minimal makeup. She had no idea her husband had been sleeping with the bride for 8 months. "I'm so glad we could make it. Nathan said you and Dylan insisted we bring the whole family. That's so thoughtful." "Of course. The more the merrier," Sharon said, echoing my words from weeks ago. She shot me a look across the courtyard, something between panic and rage. The rehearsal started at 6:30. Patricia, our wedding coordinator, a brisk woman in her 50s who'd probably coordinated 1,000 weddings and seen every possible disaster, walked everyone through the ceremony with military precision. Where to stand, when to walk, how to hold the bouquet, where the groomsmen should position themselves. It was mechanical and boring, but Sharon seemed relieved to have something structured to focus on, a script to follow. I positioned myself strategically throughout the rehearsal, always aware of where Nathan and Sharon were in relation to each other. They barely looked at each other, which was almost comical. They were trying so hard not to be obvious that it was obvious, at least to me. Nathan kept his arm around Jennifer, probably overcompensating. Sharon stayed close to me, playing the devoted fiancée. After the rehearsal ended around 7:30, we moved to the courtyard for cocktails and appetizers. The catering staff had set up tables with white tablecloths, serving wine and beer and fancy hors d'oeuvres on silver trays. The sun was setting, casting golden light over everything, making the old mission walls glow. It was beautiful. Sharon had good taste. I'd give her that. In another life, this would have been a perfect evening. I made a point of talking to Jennifer, asking about Emma's interests, about Seattle's weather, about Nathan's pharmaceutical work. She was lovely, genuine, and kind, with none of Sharon's calculated charm. "Nathan says you and Sharon go way back," I said, sipping a beer. "College sweethearts," Jennifer said, smiling. "Though that was a long time ago, ancient history. He's told me so much about you, Dylan. Sharon's very lucky." "I'm the lucky one," I said, raising my glass toward Sharon across the courtyard, who was talking to my mother about flower arrangements. Nathan drifted over to join us, and we shook hands. He was tall, probably 6'2", athletic in that way that suggested he worked out regularly. His smile was too white, too practiced, like he'd spent time in front of a mirror perfecting it for sales calls. "Great setup, man," he said, gesturing at the courtyard. "Sharon really went all out." "She's good at that," I said, holding his gaze. "Getting what she wants." Something flickered in his eyes, recognition maybe, or guilt, but he just nodded and took a long drink of his beer. The courtyard had a large decorative arch near the back wall, by the gardens. It was covered in white roses and ivy, probably cost a fortune, and it was where Sharon and I would stand during the ceremony while the officiant married us. I noticed Nathan glance at it, then at Sharon, who was now talking to Patricia about some last-minute detail. I excused myself and found Marcus, the videographer I'd hired specifically for tomorrow. He was a quiet guy in his 30s, bearded with expensive camera equipment. "Marcus, remember what I said. Capture everything, every moment. Sometimes the best footage is the stuff that happens when people think the cameras are off." "You got it," Marcus said, adjusting his camera. "I'll keep rolling between the official shots." "Perfect." I rejoined the party, accepting congratulations from relatives, making small talk, playing my role. People were mingling, drinking, laughing. My father was holding court near the fountain, telling a story about his first business deal, gesturing expansively. Sharon's mother was crying again, this time over the bruschetta. Rachel was chasing Emma around the courtyard while Tom documented it on his phone. Then I saw it happen. It was around 8:30, when the sun had fully set, and the courtyard was lit by strings of lights and lanterns. Sharon and Nathan drifted toward the back of the courtyard, near the flower arch. They thought they were hidden from view, tucked behind the decorations and the garden trellis. They thought everyone was too busy drinking and talking and eating to notice two people having a private conversation. But I noticed, and I saw Marcus shift his camera angle slightly, casually, catching them in the frame while pretending to film the fountain. They were talking in urgent whispers. I couldn't hear the words, but I could read Sharon's body language, stressed, angry, gesturing with her hands. Nathan put his hand on her arm, trying to calm her down, and she looked up at him with an expression I'd seen before, usually in our bedroom. And then they kissed. Not a long kiss, maybe 3 seconds, 4 at most. But it was unmistakable. The way his hand cupped her face, the way she leaned into him, the way their bodies fit together with the ease of practice. Someone gasped. I turned and saw Jennifer standing near the fountain, about 20 feet away. She was frozen with a glass of white wine in her hand, her mouth open in shock. She'd been coming back from the restroom and had a clear line of sight to the flower arch. Everything seemed to happen in slow motion after that. Jennifer's wine glass slipped from her fingers, shattering on the stone patio with a crash that echoed off the mission walls. Everyone turned to look. The conversations died mid-sentence. Emma stopped running. "You bastard!" Jennifer screamed, her voice cracking with pain and fury. She charged toward the flower arch, her green dress billowing. Nathan and Sharon broke apart like they'd been electrocuted. Their faces went white. Sharon backed up, hands raised defensively. Jennifer, wait, it's not… Not what? Not what I just saw with my own eyes? Jennifer's voice was raw, years of suspicion and buried doubts suddenly validated. You were kissing my husband at your wedding rehearsal. Nathan tried to step between them, his hands up in a placating gesture. Jen, please, let's go somewhere private and talk about this. Jennifer slapped him across the face, hard enough that the sound echoed off the mission walls and his head snapped to the side. Emma started crying. People rushed forward, but nobody seemed to know what to do. Patricia looked like she wanted to disappear into the ground. Don't you dare, Jennifer said, her voice shaking. Don't you dare try to calm me down. She turned on Sharon, and years of pent-up betrayal came out in a fury. You invited us here? To your wedding? While you've been sleeping with my husband? How long? How long has this been going on? Sharon's mother gasped, her hand flying to her mouth. My father's face went stone cold, the expression he got during business deals gone wrong. Rachel had grabbed Emma and turned her away from the scene. Mrs. Pierce, please, Sharon tried, but Jennifer grabbed her by the shoulders and shook her. How long? Jennifer screamed again, shaking Sharon hard enough that her carefully styled hair fell loose. 8 months, Nathan said softly, his split lip still bleeding. It's been 8 months. The courtyard was completely silent, except for Emma's sobbing. You could have heard a pin drop. Jennifer's face crumpled, the rage transforming into devastation. 8 months. You've been lying to me for 8 months. Every business trip, every late night at the office, every time you said you loved me, all lies. I should have stepped in then. Everyone probably expected me to. The wronged fiancé defending his woman or confronting his rival or something dramatic. Instead, I caught Marcus's eye across the courtyard and gave him a subtle nod. Keep filming. My father was the first to act, stepping in to pull Jennifer away from Sharon before things got worse. Jennifer was now sobbing, her anger turning into grief. Rachel had taken Emma inside the mission building, away from the chaos unfolding outside. Nathan stood there, bleeding from his lip where Jennifer had hit him, looking like a man watching his entire life collapse in real time. His expensive button-down shirt was wrinkled, his perfect hair messed up, his sales pitch smile nowhere to be found. Sharon turned to me, mascara running down her face in black rivers, her carefully styled hair falling loose around her shoulders. Dylan, please, let me explain. Explain what? My voice was calm, too calm. It seemed to scare her more than if I'd yelled or thrown something. Explain how you've been sleeping with your ex-boyfriend for the past 8 months? Or explain how you've been planning to marry me, take half of my father's condo, and then figure out the rest later? Those were your words, by the way. From a text message you sent Nathan on March 15th at 10:30 p.m. Her face went gray, the color draining from her cheeks. How did you… Shared iCloud account, Sharon. You backed up your messages to the cloud. Every single one. Flight records to Seattle, hotel charges, restaurant reservations, late-night phone calls. I've known for 3 weeks. Did you really think I wouldn't notice a $600 charge from Alaska Airlines? Or 3 weekend trips you lied about? The courtyard was silent, except for Jennifer's quiet crying. Everyone stared at us. My parents, Sharon's parents, the wedding party, random relatives holding drinks and appetizers. Patricia, the wedding coordinator, had pulled out her phone, probably already composing an email about cancellation policies. Nathan found his voice, though it came out weak and shaky. Man, I'm sorry. I never meant for any of this to happen. It spiraled out of control. You never meant to get caught, I corrected him, my voice still eerily calm. There's a difference. You and Sharon were perfectly happy to let this continue indefinitely. She marries me, gets financial security and the condo. You keep your marriage to Jennifer and your respectable pharmaceutical sales job. You meet up every few weeks for hotel intimacy and congratulate yourselves on being so clever. Except you weren't clever. You were just predictable. Sharon was crying harder now, real tears, not the pretty kind she could turn on for sympathy. "Dylan, please. I do love you. I know I messed up, but I love you." "No," I said, cutting her off. "You loved what I could give you. The house, the stability, my father's money. That's not the same thing as loving me. If you loved me, you wouldn't have spent 8 months lying to my face. You wouldn't have texted your lover that I was too busy with work to notice anything. You wouldn't have planned to divorce me after getting your hands on community property." My father stepped forward, his face hard as stone. He looked at Sharon with the same expression he reserved for contractors who tried to cheat him or business partners who broke deals. "The condo deal is off, obviously. I'll call my lawyer tonight and make sure the papers are voided." Sharon's mother finally found her voice, weak and trembling. "Dylan, surely there's a way to work through this. Mrs. Patterson, your daughter, has been conducting an affair for 8 months while planning our wedding. She invited her lover to the ceremony. She planned to commit marriage fraud for financial gain. There's nothing to work through. The wedding is canceled. I'll have Sharon's belongings packed and delivered to your house by Monday." "Dylan, you can't just—" Sharon started. "I can, and I am. Actually, I already did. I changed the locks on our house this morning. The movers are coming Sunday. Your clothes, your books, your yoga equipment, everything. It'll all be at your parents' place by evening. You're not welcome in my house anymore." The finality in my voice seemed to break something in Sharon. She collapsed onto one of the white chairs, sobbing into her hands, her perfect image completely shattered. Her father stood there uselessly, looking like he wanted to say something but had no idea what. Jennifer had stopped crying. She was staring at Nathan with an expression I'd never seen before, complete detachment, like she was looking at a stranger. "I want a divorce," she said quietly, "and I'm taking Emma back to Portland tomorrow. Don't follow us. Don't call. Don't try to explain. My lawyer will contact you next week." "Jennifer, please." Nathan reached for her, but she jerked away from his touch like he was diseased. "You destroyed our family for what? For her?" Jennifer gestured at Sharon with disgust. "Was it worth it, Nathan? Was the excitement worth losing your daughter?" Nathan had no answer. What could he say? That yes, it had been worth it? That no, it was a terrible mistake? Either answer condemned him. Jennifer turned to me, and for a moment, our eyes met across the courtyard. Two people connected by shared betrayal, both of us casualties in someone else's selfish war. "Thank you," she said quietly, "for inviting us. I know that sounds strange, but thank you. I needed to see this with my own eyes." Then she walked into the mission building to collect Emma, her back straight, her dignity intact despite everything. The party dissolved after that. People left in uncomfortable clusters, whispering to each other, probably already texting friends about the drama they'd just witnessed. My mother tried to hug me, but I gently pushed her away. I didn't want comfort. I wanted to be alone. Marcus approached me near the fountain, his camera finally off. "I got everything," he said quietly. "The kiss, the confrontation, all of it. Multiple angles. Do you want me to still come tomorrow for the wedding?" "There's no wedding," I said. "But send me the files anyway. Password protect them." "Will do. I'm sorry, man. That was brutal." I walked out of the courtyard without looking back at Sharon, who was still sobbing in her chair while her mother tried to console her. My father followed me to the parking lot, his keys jangling in his hand. "You knew," he said. "It wasn't a question. For 3 weeks. And you set this up, inviting the wife." I nodded. Dad was quiet for a long moment, staring at the old mission building lit up against the night sky. Then he started laughing, but not the happy kind. The dark, satisfied kind that came from watching an enemy destroy themselves. "That's cold, son. Ice cold. I'm almost proud. Your mother's going to say you're being cruel, but I get it. Sometimes people need to face consequences." "Marcus got it all on video," I said. "Every second." "Good. Keep it. You never know when you'll need evidence." He clapped me on the shoulder. "Come stay at the house tonight. Your old room's still there. Don't go home to an empty place full of wedding gifts and lies. I let him drive me back to my parents' house in Rancho Bernardo, the sprawling ranch-style place where I'd grown up. Mom fussed over me, making tea I didn't drink, offering food I didn't want. Rachel gave me a long hug and whispered, "You're going to be okay. You're better off without her." I went to bed in my childhood room, surrounded by old trophies and posters from high school, feeling nothing. The anger I'd been carrying for 3 weeks had burned itself out during the confrontation. All that was left was a strange, hollow peace. The next morning, Saturday, I woke up to 47 missed calls on my phone. Sharon, Nathan, even Jennifer had tried to reach me in the middle of the night. There were texts, too, hundreds of them, ranging from apologies to accusations to desperate pleas. Nathan's message, sent at 3:17 a.m., was the most pathetic. "Dylan, I'm sorry. We never meant for it to go this far. Sharon told me she was going to break up with you after the wedding. She said the condo was her idea, that she wanted to secure her future because you kept her financially dependent. Please, I'm begging you, don't show that video to anyone. My career, my marriage, everything is destroyed. Jennifer took Emma. My boss is calling. My life is over." I deleted it without responding. Sharon's messages were worse. She'd gone through all 5 stages of grief in text form over the course of 6 hours. Denial. It wasn't what it looked like. Anger. You manipulated this entire situation. Bargaining. Please, we can fix this. Couples therapy, whatever you need. Depression. I've lost everything. I can't believe this is happening. And finally, acceptance. I understand now. You never really loved me. You just wanted revenge. That last one wasn't true, but I didn't correct her. She could believe whatever helped her sleep at night. Sunday afternoon, I went back to the house Sharon and I had shared. It felt different now, emptier, even though nothing had been moved yet. The wedding gifts were still stacked in the spare bedroom. Crystal vases, kitchen appliances, checks and cards we'd never opened together. Biscuit greeted me at the door, tail wagging, oblivious to human drama. Dogs have it better than us in so many ways. I packed Sharon's belongings methodically and without emotion. Clothes organized by type, shoes in their original boxes, toiletries in a plastic bin, the books she'd bought to look intellectual but never read. Her parents came at 4 to pick everything up. Her father wouldn't look at me, probably ashamed. Her mother tried to apologize, her eyes red from crying. "I don't know what to say, Dylan. This isn't how we raised her. I'm so sorry." "Mrs. Patterson," I interrupted gently. "Sharon made her choices. You didn't make them for her. You have nothing to apologize for." I handed her the last box and closed the door. The following week crawled by in a haze of administrative tasks. I took vacation time from work, claiming a family emergency. I walked Biscuit for hours through the neighborhood, thinking about nothing and everything, letting my mind empty. I threw away the wedding invitations that had been sitting on my desk, ready to be mailed to the last few stragglers. I spent a full day on the phone canceling everything. The venue, the caterer, the band, the florist, the photographer. Some vendors were sympathetic. The florist, a kind older woman named Rosa, said, "Honey, I've been doing weddings for 30 years. Sometimes the best gift is finding out before the ceremony instead of after." She refunded half my deposit. Others were annoyed about losing the business. The band threatened to keep the entire deposit until I pointed out that I had texts from Sharon admitting to an affair, and did they really want that kind of publicity? Marcus sent me the video files on Tuesday with a simple message. "Password is your birthday. Hope you're doing okay. Let me know if you need anything." I watched the video once, alone in my home office at midnight with all the lights off except for the glow of my laptop screen. It was as bad as I remembered. Jennifer's wine glass shattering on the stone, the sharp sound cutting through the evening chatter. Sharon and Nathan's faces going pale, caught in the act like teenagers behind the bleachers. The slap that echoed through the courtyard, Nathan's head snapping to the side, Jennifer's raw scream of betrayal, Emma's crying in the background. Marcus had captured all of it in sharp, unforgiving detail, multiple camera angles showing the complete devastation from every perspective. I saved the files to an encrypted drive, backed them up to a secure cloud server, and never watched them again. Some things you only need to see once to remember forever. 2 weeks after the rehearsal disaster, Nathan sent a letter to my office, actual paper in an envelope, like we were living in a different century. I almost threw it away unopened, but curiosity won out. Maybe I wanted to see if he'd learned anything, if any of this had penetrated his sales pitch exterior. The letter was handwritten, the script shaky and uneven, nothing like the confident signature he probably used on pharmaceutical contracts. Dylan, I know there's nothing I can say that will fix this or make it better. There's no apology adequate for what I've done. Jennifer left me. She took Emma back to her parents in Portland and filed for divorce. Her lawyer sent the papers last week. I'm not fighting it. I don't have the right to fight it. I lost my job too. Someone sent the video to my boss. I can't prove it was you, and honestly, I understand if it was. Pharmaceutical sales requires a clean reputation, trust with doctors and hospitals. After the video made its rounds through the company, they terminated me for conduct unbecoming. I'm blacklisted in the industry now. You probably think I'm a terrible person, and you're right. I am. Sharon and I told ourselves we were in love, that we couldn't help our feelings, that somehow that justified what we were doing. We thought we were being smart, that we could have everything we wanted without consequences. She wanted the financial security you offered. I wanted the excitement of something new while keeping the stability of my marriage. We were using each other as much as we were using you and Jennifer. But it wasn't love. Love doesn't lie. Love doesn't manipulate. Love doesn't destroy innocent people for selfish reasons. I'm not asking for forgiveness. I don't deserve it. I just wanted you to know that I understand what I destroyed. Not just your relationship with Sharon, but my own family. Emma doesn't understand why Daddy doesn't live with them anymore. She cries at night and asks when I'm coming home. Jennifer won't let me talk to her except through supervised video calls twice a week. My daughter is 4 years old, and I've traumatized her for life because I couldn't keep my dick in my pants. That's on me, all of it. For what it's worth, you deserve better than Sharon, and I deserved everything I got. Nathan Pierce. I read the letter twice, then filed it away in the drawer with all the other evidence I'd collected. There was no satisfaction in it, no sense of victory. Nathan wasn't my enemy. He was just an idiot who'd made catastrophically bad choices. They both were. Intelligent people doing stupid things because they thought the rules didn't apply to them. I thought about responding, crafting some devastating final message that would twist the knife. But what would I say? That I accepted his apology? I didn't. That I forgave him? I wouldn't. That I hoped he learned his lesson? I didn't care enough to hope anything for him. So I did nothing. Sometimes nothing is the most powerful response. Silence has weight. A week later, Sharon's friend Rebecca called me. We'd met a few times at parties, and she'd always been friendly in that surface-level way people are when they're really your partner's friend, not yours. Dylan, I know this is weird, but I thought you should know something, Rebecca said, her voice uncomfortable. Sharon's been telling people that you set her up, that you manipulated the whole situation to humiliate her publicly. She's saying you invited Nathan's wife specifically to cause a scene, that you're vindictive and controlling. And what do you think? I asked. Rebecca was quiet for a moment. Honestly, I think she's rewriting history to make herself feel better. I've known Sharon for 10 years. She's my friend, but she's always been strategic about relationships. She dated a guy in college because his father owned a car dealership, and she wanted a discount on a BMW. She's not a bad person, but she's calculating. I think she saw you as a good investment, and when it blew up, she couldn't handle being the villain in the story. Thanks for telling me, For what it's worth, you did the right thing. Better to find out before the wedding than after. I hung up and went back to reorganizing my life. I'd started the process of selling the house. Too many memories embedded in the walls, too many ghosts in the bedroom where we'd planned a future that was built on lies. A realtor came by with her measuring tape and clipboard, talking about staging and market conditions and comparable sales in the neighborhood. "You'll get a good price," she said confidently. "This area is hot right now. Young families love these craftsman homes. I hoped whoever bought it would be happy here, happier than I'd been." Spring turned to summer, and San Diego's relentless sunshine made it hard to stay melancholic. I started dating casually, coffee dates that led nowhere, dinners with women I had little in common with, and one brief relationship with a teacher named Amanda that ended after 6 weeks when we both realized it wasn't going anywhere. I sold the house in July for $50,000 over asking. Some tech couple from San Francisco bought it, probably paying cash, probably not even blinking at the price. I bought a condo downtown, one I picked out myself without anyone's input. Modern, minimalist, with floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the harbor. Biscuit adjusted fine to the new place. Dogs are better at moving forward than people, better at living in the present moment without carrying the weight of betrayal. My father started including me in bigger business deals, trusting my judgment in ways he hadn't before. "You've got a good head for reading people now," he said over lunch one day at his favorite steakhouse. "Knowing when someone's lying, when they're trying to play you. That's valuable in business." "Expensive lesson to learn," I said. "The best ones usually are." Rachel called every Sunday to check on me, which was annoying, but also kind of nice. She'd just found out she was pregnant, and she'd ramble on about morning sickness and baby names and how Tom was already painting the nursery, despite it being way too early. "You're going to be an uncle," she said excitedly. "Uncle Dylan. You have to teach my kid all your computer security stuff so they can hack their friends' social media when they're teenagers." "That's terrible parenting advice, Rachel." "I know, but you'll do it anyway because you love me." She was right. I would. I never heard from Sharon again directly. Through the grapevine of mutual friends, the ones who stayed neutral or sided with me, I learned she'd moved to Phoenix and was working at a different marketing firm. She'd deleted all her social media, erasing the evidence of her old life like she could delete the mistakes too. Someone told me she was dating a dentist. Someone older with money. Old habits die hard, I guess. Good for her, I thought without much emotion. We all deserve a chance to start over, to learn from our mistakes. Whether she actually learned anything was her problem, not mine. One Saturday in late August, I was walking Biscuit through Balboa Park, enjoying the shade of the eucalyptus trees and the smell of jasmine from the gardens. The park was crowded with families, tourists taking photos, street performers entertaining crowds, life happening all around me, indifferent to my personal drama. That's when I ran into Jennifer. She was sitting on a bench near the lily pond with Emma, who'd grown several inches and had lost her baby face. Emma was feeding ducks with breadcrumbs, laughing when they fought over the pieces. "Dylan," Jennifer said, surprised but not unhappy to see me. "Hi." "Jennifer, how are you?" "Better. Getting better, anyway." She gestured to the bench, and I sat down while Biscuit sniffed around the pond's edge. "We moved here, actually. Fresh start. My parents are in Portland, but I got a good job offer here, accounting manager for a biotech company in Sorrento Valley. The pay's better, and Emma loves the weather." "San Diego's good for fresh starts," I said. We sat there for a moment, watching Emma chase a particularly bold duck around the pond. The silence wasn't uncomfortable. Just two people who'd been through something difficult together, connected by shared damage. "I never thanked you," Jennifer said quietly, watching her daughter. "For exposing them. I know that sounds strange, thanking someone for blowing up my life. But if you hadn't invited us to that wedding rehearsal, if I hadn't seen it with my own eyes, I might have spent years wondering why my marriage felt wrong. You did me a favor, even if it hurt like hell at the time. I didn't know what to say to that. I'm sorry you got caught in the middle of it. Me too, but I'm not sorry I know the truth now. She smiled, but it was sad, the smile of someone who'd had to rebuild their life from rubble. Emma and I are doing okay. Better than okay, actually. Turns out being a single mom is easier than being married to a liar. At least now I know where I stand. No more wondering why he's working late. No more finding suspicious charges on the credit card. No more lying to myself that everything's fine. Emma ran back to her mother, breathless and happy. Mommy, did you see? The ducks liked my bread. I saw, sweetie. You did great. Jennifer kissed the top of her daughter's head, and I felt a pang of something, not jealousy exactly, but longing for that kind of simple love, uncomplicated by betrayal. Jennifer looked at me seriously. Dylan, I hope you find someone who deserves you, someone who doesn't need to be tricked into being faithful, someone who chooses you every day, not because you're convenient or financially stable, but because they actually love you. You too, I said. You deserve better than Nathan, better than what happened. We both do. She stood up, taking Emma's hand. We should go. Emma has a swimming lesson in an hour, but it was good seeing you. Really good. Take care of yourself. You too. I watched them walk away, mother and daughter, both moving toward something better. Emma was skipping, telling her mother some elaborate story about the ducks. Jennifer was laughing, genuinely laughing, the sound carrying back to me on the summer breeze. Maybe we were all going to be okay. Maybe that's all you can ask for after betrayal. Not happiness exactly, not immediately, but the possibility of it somewhere down the line. The knowledge that the damage isn't permanent, that people heal, that life continues even when you think it can't. That night, I opened my laptop and pulled up the encrypted drive where I'd stored all the evidence, the screenshots, the flight records, the text messages, the credit card statements, the video of the rehearsal dinner implosion. I looked at it for a long time, this digital archive of betrayal and revenge, this documentation of the worst chapter of my life. Then I selected all the files and moved them to the trash. The computer asked if I was sure I wanted to permanently delete them. I clicked yes. It took a few seconds for everything to disappear, years of lies vanishing into digital nothingness. When it was done, I emptied the trash and ran a secure deletion program, the kind I used at work to make sure data couldn't be recovered. 7 passes, military-grade erasure, until nothing remained but empty space on the hard drive. It was over. Really, finally over. I closed my laptop and looked around my new condo. My space, chosen by me, paid for by me, free from the contamination of shared dreams that were never really shared. Biscuit was asleep on his dog bed, snoring softly. Through the windows, I could see the San Diego skyline, lights twinkling in the darkness like distant stars, like possibilities. Tomorrow, I'd wake up and keep moving forward. I'd go to work, walk my dog, maybe call that woman Amanda had tried to set me up with, her friend from yoga class. I'd live my life, one day at a time, carrying the scars, but not letting them define me. That's all any of us can do, really. Survive the betrayals, learn from the pain, and choose whether to let it make us bitter or make us better. Choose whether to stay stuck in the past or to move toward the future, even when the future is uncertain and scary. I chose better. I chose forward. I chose myself. Because at the end of everything, after the lies and the affairs and the dramatic confrontations and the painful healing, the only person you can really count on is yourself. The only love that's guaranteed is the love you give yourself. The only future you can control is the one you build with your own hands. And that's enough. It has to be enough. Biscuit stirred in his sleep, chasing dream rabbits through dream fields. Outside, the city hummed with life. People laughing, people crying, people falling in love, people falling apart. The eternal cycle of human drama, playing out in millions of variations across millions of lives. I was just one small story in that vast narrative. One betrayal among thousands. One man who got hurt and survived and came out. The other side changed, but not broken. That was enough of a victory. I turned off the lights and went to bed, and for the first time in months, I slept without dreaming of Sharon's lies or Nathan's face or that moment in the courtyard when everything shattered like Jennifer's wine glass on the stone. I just slept, deep and dreamless, the sleep of someone who's finally laid down a burden they've been carrying too long. And when I woke up the next morning to sunlight streaming through the windows and Biscuit's cold nose pressed against my hand, I felt something I hadn't felt in a long time. Peace.